Welcome back, for real.
To us.
To us, yes. To the Professional Lovers channel. And we're glad to be back.
Yes, we are. And a big thank you, shout out to Tahaji and Be Woke for giving us a summary of last week's episode that we missed due to
Technical difficulties.
That we could not control.
Yeah.
But we made sure that did not happen tonight. I turned the channel on to make sure it came on at 5:30 and left it running until 7 so that we can make sure to watch it. So it's all good. And we're glad to be back.
Very.
If this is your first time, I've seen some new subscribers. You know that we're Patty and Al, and we've been married 28 years, and we like to talk about relationship issues through the lens of Married at First Sight, along with what we've learned in our 28 years of being married. So let's get to it. What?
28? 29.
It will be 29 in October.
We're in the 29th year.
Okay.
It's a math thing. Don't pay any attention to me.
Anyway, let's get started. First couple, Noy and Steve. First of all, let's just say it was a 1 month anniversary. So the month anniversary for all of the couples. And most of the episode was about what they were doing to celebrate. Right. What they were doing to celebrate their month anniversary. And everybody had, their own little things, and different ones took the lead in putting it together.
A true celebration.
Right. And really reminiscing. And so as we just watched the after party, as their guests said at the after party, it was a warm and fuzzy episode for the most part.
Most of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll get to that little last explosion. But first, warm and fuzzy. Recreating the day. That's what Michael did for Jasmina. Glamping. A little glamorous camping, which Mark did for Lindsey, even though he doesn't like camping
at all. And
that was a little evident with his blowing the fire. Like, I'm not sure what he was trying to do there.
He knows that fire needs air, but it didn't need his air. It was fine.
And then, Katina recreating Italy.
The gondola ride.
The gondola ride that Elijah Wan's never been on.
Yeah, gave him some exposure or
it's a different culture.
There you go.
And then Noy and Steve, going on the water.
Which she loved the fact that there was sushi for days.
For days. I couldn't even eat that much sushi.
No soy sauce, but sushi.
No, he did. They did.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They showed him dipping in it. Because I was saying that when I eat sushi, I have to have some soy sauce to dip it in. I can't just be straight sushi. But anyway, and so it was nice to see all the different ways. They saw their wedding book, pictures, and Mark was the only one to do the video.
Right.
And the little TP, which was cute. I like that whole camping setup. Yeah, that was nice.
The getaway. A true getaway. Just the two of them.
Exactly. But and prior to that, everyone, it seemed like most people met with a friend.
Somebody to talk to bounce their thoughts, their perspective of what the past month has been.
Right.
With someone that knows them and understands them.
Right. So Noy and Steve, each of them talked to a friend. And Noy said she felt like they're connecting at a soul level. They're about 80% good.
Yeah.
And then Steve, talked to a friend of his who's been married for 10 years. And I liked what his friend told him, that, when you have these little disagreements or arguments and that kind of thing, that you want to look at small changes, little incremental changes, see what in that discussion, what is one small thing that you can do differently.
Yeah.
And that's huge, because we tend to get overwhelmed with...
True. And especially if we don't communicate, we don't put effort into understanding not only your partner, but understanding yourself in a new environment with a partner.
Right. when they were talking together during their little month anniversary, Steve asked Noy, you know, in this next month, what will you need in order, you know, for decision day to be, I guess, positive? And she's like, I need a plan.
Yeah.
I need us to talk about finances.
Discussion. Yeah.
And it's a little surprising that they haven't
communicated about that as of yet.
Although again, he said, you know, but I've been trying. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah.
How do you try?
Well, I think because he indicated also that she'd been extremely busy with work and whatnot, and so maybe with hours or time constraints, whatever, he hasn't been able to really get involved conversation-wise regarding that. But he's indicated that he's tried, but she didn't refute it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm. So they seem to be on a pretty good path at this moment.
Yeah.
Lindsey and Mark. Now, when they first came on at the top of the show, Mark was talking about how he wants to find work.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, he needs to work. That's what would make him happy.
That's a typical male perspective, which in her case, Lindsey, as a woman, and that's all I can label it as, she does not comprehend that.
Because she turned it all around as if him wanting to get a job, because at first, of course, she said what you would want to say. Well, you know, don't just get a job to get a job. I want you to get something, take your time to get something that you really enjoy.
Which, in the beginning of that conversation, sounded so supportive.
It did.
And then she dove off the cliff.
And twisted everything he said to be, you don't appreciate
on his part.
Yeah, you don't appreciate. You're neglecting the marriage. You're neglecting me. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I didn't.
Everything
quite understand
has
that.
to be about her. And even when they were on their little glamping trip, and after they watched the video, he got very emotional, especially thinking about his vows.
Yeah,
and
because he said he would protect her.
Right, and he felt, or he could see internally how he has not done that per se.
Well, how he has felt that he has not done
that. Right. That's
because
a good way
there
to
were
say
situations that he had to protect himself from her.
Yeah.
Because she was so
rude, as I understand. Dr. Viviana told her she talks to her.
Yeah.
She talks to him a lot of times.
And just as she indicated at the beginning of the conversation, being supportive of her husband. Okay, knowing she makes good money. Nursing, is that what she does? So she makes good money, and I understand that. But if that's what you're trying to indicate to your spouse, that hey, if finances is part of that equation, that you feel that you have to do something, don't worry about that. You know, and she said it in the beginning. Take the time to find something that you really enjoy doing, as opposed to just doing something to fill that void.
And yet, if he says that's what he needs, he doesn't want to just be sitting around. And after a while, and you went through a spell in our marriage when you first couldn't find a job and
newborn and all of that.
At the beginning, you were okay with staying home with the baby.
Yeah.
6 months, right?
7 days.
But what I'm getting at is after a while, though, and again, this is what we're talking about, the internal physiological
DNA of a male.
Yes. Is to provide.
Right.
It's to contribute.
True.
It's to be, a breadwinner.
To feel that you are providing.
Stepping up to the plate.
Doing what you can do.
Right.
Even if it's not all that you can do.
Right.
You can do something.
And that kind of started working on you a little bit.
It did. Yeah. I had to work. I mean, nothing against our son, being with our child. I mean, I enjoyed that, but it was like for almost 40 years, I'd worked. Once I started working, so 20-something, 30-something years, I had worked.
Mm-hmm.
And to now be a stay-at-home dad, not that there's anything wrong with that. It just wasn't fulfilling to me, you know. I mean, watching our son go, taking him with me, you know, I even took him on certain interviews,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that, you know, but it was just something that innately I had to do. I have to do. And now I'm working 18 jobs.
Well, but I mean, so that's a reality.
Yeah.
And I think that you know, and we're talking about the average male again. We always know that there are exceptions to every stereotype.
True.
Okay.
True.
But it also annoyed me this entire episode how Lindsey never said anything about where she fell short and what she could change
or what she could work on.
Yeah, it was you know, listening to Mark talk about his where he felt he could, you know, work on some things and and I just need to see consistency and I just need to see this and I just need to see that. And she never talked about herself.
Yeah.
That annoyed me.
And the thing about it, I really don't feel that she gets it because she feels that she's giving it her all. And that is one element that we talk about within the book about.
That Michael actually said.
Yeah. About loving your spouse the way they need or the way they receive being loved.
Right. The way they feel loved.
Right.
The way they want it, the way they perceive it, the way they need it.
Not the way you just want to give it to them.
Right.
Because again, what you do, there's nothing wrong with that. But is it satisfying their need and how they need to be loved?
And again, that came out in the group dinner when she kept doing this on him and
like
whatever, and he's like,
her
"Stop
or
it!"
Something.
Okay, now again, there may be, you know, spouses, people who like that. If they like that, then do that. If they tell you, "I don't like that," stop, please. Then you don't keep doing it.
Case in point. I have throughout all of my life have been a tickler.
Yeah.
This one would hurt me if I tried to tickle her.
And he tried it early on, and I'm like, that's...
And it was more than just, no, I don't like it. No, she does not like it.
Don't do it.
And it almost seems, well, in retrospect, because we never really had the conversation, I'm thinking that she was tortured being tickled. Again, having 5 brothers, I can imagine at one point in time...
No, 4 brothers.
I
mean, that's enough.
4 brothers,
4 brothers.
But, because I always say 5 fathers, but 4 brothers. You know, there may have been some deep-seated situations back there that, you know, turns her into somebody else.
As in, if I ask you to stop, please stop. But brothers typically, it just eggs them on.
Yeah. And it's something I like doing. I mean, it's a certain level of intimacy that I just like. I mean, it's playful, it's joyful. Well, at least I think it is.
He thought it was.
No parts. No parts.
And I would have the complete opposite reaction than what you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
Which is intimacy. And if you're making me upset, there's no part of that that's going to be intimate.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
So I decided to keep my toes. I stopped.
He kept his tickles to himself and found other ways to express intimacy in playful manners. Okay. So, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line. Right. But giving your partner what he or she needs the way he or she enjoys it.
Right. The way they receive it.
Right. I'm going to keep Katina and Elijah one last.
That'll work.
And let's go to Jasmine and Michael. So we were saying that I really applauded Michael for his aha moment.
Yeah.
That, you know, with Jasmine saying you're not really putting a lot of effort in. And what she said in the after party, he wasn't putting in the effort that I needed. Right. He was putting in his own effort. And he realized that.
Yeah.
And that's an important key. I also was interested in her saying, reflecting to last week's episode, that she was purposefully not being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Keeping those guards up, which we already kind of knew.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't know that she was doing it intentionally. But you could see the walls up just from how she dealt with him all the time.
Yeah.
But because she didn't feel like he was putting in the effort that she needed, she was not letting her guard down.
True.
And so again, they've just been kind of doing this the whole time. And so it was good to see them in a decent place.
Yeah.
In tonight's episode.
Consistently. Yeah.
All right. Katina and Elijah one. Y'all already know that his behavior works my nerves. They also, she talked to a friend. They also appeared to be
in a good
place. All the way to the end. And
he was feeling her.
Oh, I'm feeling you, girl.
I like you, but now I'm feeling you.
He was giving her kudos for helping him be a better man, because you called me out on my errors, and I wouldn't change anything about you.
And I've stopped pointing fingers. That was a statement that he said.
Yeah. Until the group dinner. And when it was his turn to speak.
Why do you, even if something is on your mind, it sometimes, well, the saying says, sometimes it's better to say nothing and be thought a fool than to say something and remove all doubt.
But this whole idea of honesty, meaning that you're just supposed to blurt out everything or anything, no matter where you are, or what the situation is, as though if you don't do that, then you're being dishonest.
And this one thing that you happen to see negates everything that you have built up to that point. And as opposed to getting any type of explanation or an opportunity to discuss it, you bring it to a public forum and you say, well, there's something that happened on the way here today that really just makes me
question if the marriage is real. If our chemistry is marriage chemistry. What? And she's blindsided.
Totally.
Has no idea what you're talking about.
You would have been better off not saying anything. Be tight-lipped and say.
But for him, he defines that as being dishonest. That is not being dishonest. That's being judicial.
That's being immature.
Right, and it's being mature to not say anything at that point in time until you can get it cleared up. But we already know that Elijah Wan pops off. He's a reactionary person and lashes out when he's feeling insecure or when he's feeling fearful, which is a common reaction for people who are feeling fearful or insecure. And he was feeling like, I did all of this and emptied my phone and did everything. I put Isaac up here on the shelf for you, and you got a dating app on your phone.
Well,
not even caring about the explanation.
Really? And just because you did something, does that necessarily mean that I have to do the exact same thing? Because you felt a certain way that you felt necessary to delete and remove and go back into your history and remove, because your history was so sordid. Whereas she had a dating app. She said that she had not used for years. And there's a way of finding out if it had been used. You can check to see if the account is valid or whatever the case may be. But you ran with it and acted as if she had cut you.
Well, and called her a stranger. And after 4 weeks, you're not a stranger.
Well, that's because you want to be a stranger.
But he's a drama king. And, again, and he just flies off without any forethought. And there are people whose personalities are that way.
Yeah. But
there are people who are just reactionary, and they speak and they act before they think it through. Which means then that you're constantly coming back and saying, I'm sorry.
Apologizing.
I'm sorry. And after a while,
it gets tiring.
It gets very tiring. And if you can't learn how to
compose yourself,
right, and handle it in a different manner,
and just give the benefit of the doubt to the person that you say you care for.
Right.
Allow them to explain to you what the situation is. And if there's an explanation that you can't accept, well, hey, by all means, do what you feel you need to do.
Right.
But allow them to meet you where you are, as opposed to taking it someplace that, first off, they're blindsided by, and secondly, it may not necessarily be what you think it is.
So for her, and as she said in the after party, that she sees there are two ways to deal with people. That she has to figure out, first of all, if he's being serious or not, because he's a game player and he likes to push buttons just to see how far he can take stuff. But then also, if the pros or the strengths that he presents in their relationship are weighted heavier enough for her to continue to let him pop off and then deal with him when he's to tolerate that, then she will. Otherwise, that's going to get old. Quick. And to go through a year of that constant type of reactionary behavior, I personally could not do that. But then thank goodness I'm not married to that kind of person, because that wouldn't be me. But it might be her, and we'll see what the outcome is next week. But of course, because it was all warm and fuzzy, I said, okay, somebody's going to have a meltdown right before it goes off, because it's not going to end on this warm and fuzzy note. And so we got our meltdown.
Yes, we did.
But anyway, and more meltdowns are coming, as we know. But it was nice to see the warm fuzziness. For this episode.
The calm before the storm.
Because everybody needed a break. And even though we missed last week, it was kind of nice to get a break from the drama that we see in every couple this season. I don't know if anybody's going to make it the way this is going down. But we'll see. And as usual, until next week, we say stay safe and peace.
Enjoy.